Hey there, Deborah Donaldson here, and do you struggle with coming up with content not only for Facebook or if you're doing YouTube, your social media, different places where you are promoting? To be honest, that's one of the areas that I have really struggled with. I have content for a little while, but then I always seem to run out of content ideas. Well, I just recently started reading this book here called Storyworthy by Matthew Dix. And he talks about a couple of methods or exercises that you can do that will help you come up with content. And then I'm also going to give you some other tips that will also help you come up with content. And these are things that you can do, and over a period of time, you're going to end up with a huge list of ideas that you can use for content. So this will really help you, one, create your voice stand out, because these are about you. They are unique to you. You're not copying anybody else. And so let's get started. I'm going to give you some tips on how you can come up with content ideas. Okay, so in the book Storyworthy by Matthew Dix, he has an exercise that he talks about in this book called Homework for Life. And I thought this exercise was really interesting, and it doesn't take a ton of time to do. And I can see how over time it is really going to help me to create content or have content ideas that will really help me to stand out from everyone else, because these are stories that relate to me or my life or the things that I've gone through, so they are going to be unique. And what Homework for Life is that you create a Google spreadsheet with a date and line, and all you're doing is at the end of the day, you're sitting down and you're not, writing a full journal entry, but you're making a couple of keyword inputs that will bring the experience back to you so that you can remember what happened and then you can write about it. So just to show you really quickly, I just started doing this. I've got the date over here and just a couple of sentences or a couple of words that bring the story back to me in terms of something that I could talk about in a blog post, or something that I can talk about in a Facebook post, or something that I can make a YouTube video out of. So as time goes on, what happens is you become more aware of what's happening in your day. And so the content that you're coming up with, or the stories that you're coming up with, end out being better and more relevant. And this is something that over time, initially it might just be, random things. But as you do this and as you focus on what's happening in your life, you are going to become more cognizant, more aware of what is going on and how you can relate it to your business or how it could help someone else. Things like that, this is an exercise that I think is going to pay off in the long run with just tons of content ideas. Now, the other one that he talks about is, he calls it crash and burn, but I'm calling it write for 15 minutes nonstop. And so with this one, it's an exercise. It just takes 15 minutes, and you sit down and write, and basically your pen does not stop moving the whole time of the 15 minutes. So if you're running out of stream of consciousness or things, then you might start, writing numbers until the next thing pops into your head. And what happens with this stream of consciousness is memories are unearthed, experiences, you remember things that happened that, maybe happened a long time ago that you forgot. And you're not worried about grammar, you're not worried about punctuation, you're not worried about writing neatly. It's just the random thoughts that are coming out, and your pen just does not stop moving for 15 minutes. Now, I have heard of this exercise before, but for me, it's always seemed like, I don't know if I could, keep writing for 15 minutes. So this is going to be a challenge to myself to do this exercise, because I can see the benefit of it. In the book, where Matthew has done this exercise, he gives an example of how these, random thoughts have brought back stories and memories that have turned into stories that have really had an impact. And People learn through stories. They enjoy hearing stories. They relate to you via stories. So the better you get at storytelling, the better you're going to do with your marketing, prospecting, relating to other people, because they relate to stories, and it's just going to make you better at what you do. So writing for 15 minutes nonstop daily, just as one of those things to do, is really going to help you come up with content ideas. Now, another one, and I heard this from somebody else, do you have your avatar picked out as to who you're writing to? Because that can have a big effect on the type of content you come up with. And what I heard is that actually the ideal avatar for you, or the ideal customer, is actually yourself yesterday. So before you figured out this one thing, or before you figured out how to market effectively. So maybe yesterday you didn't know how to do it, you learned this one thing, and now you do. So your ideal market is you yesterday, before you learned how to do this one thing. And because you are talking to yourself, you can make it much more relatable and be more free with your content and how you share your story. So that can really also help you come up with content, is to go and think about your own life experiences and what didn't I know back then that I know now that I can share, that will help people that are in the same place as I was yesterday. And then the last one, so this is number 4, the last one is to go into Facebook groups that contain your target market. So if you're in affiliate marketing, go to affiliate marketing groups, and just make note of the types of questions that people are asking consistently in the group. Like typical questions might be, how do you make your first sale? Where are you getting your leads? How do you do how do you do organic marketing? Or things along those lines would be common questions that people would have in the affiliate marketing space. You could go in, make note of these common questions, make note of the areas where people are struggling, like I haven't gotten my first sale. What do I do? How do you do email marketing? What are great email marketing platforms? I mean, there's a ton of different questions that come up in these groups, and you can use them to also come up with content ideas that you can use to help people out by creating content that's going to provide value, training, stories on how you were able to overcome this obstacle, or how you solved a certain problem. And if you used a certain program to help you learn these things, then you can talk about the program with a call to action and start connecting with people, and hopefully leading to sales in that way. So I hope you'll find that these 4 things will really be helpful in terms of helping you to come up with content consistently. This is an area where I have struggled over the years. Like I said, I've come up with content for a short period of time, but then I end out not posting because I feel like I run out of things to talk about. Or a mindset thing for me was feeling like, there's nothing really exciting going on that people are going to want to hear about. And so I end out letting it slide. So this is going to be an area that I am working on, and doing the daily homework I think is really going to help me, because it's not going to take a ton of time. It's something where you just the date and a couple of sentences, and already I can see where there's a couple of areas where I can create some content on some things that have happened in the past couple of days. Now keep in mind, I just started this like at the beginning of June, so that I don't have a ton of things on my list. But if I start keeping a running list 2, 3, 4 months down the road, I'm going to have a whole bunch of different things that I can post about, that are all going to be, stories that I can write and hopefully relate to the people, to my audience, and provide great value. So I hope these help you out, and I will see you on the next one.